Hello everyone! First, welcome to my new channel. I decided to move Genopet stuff over here because while I've wanted to do Genopets content, it doesn't exactly match my primary audience. That aside, over the weekend, an update has pushed out to all augments that you might have missed. They now have the Battle Move attribute, which gives us our first glimpse into what moves they might have. I want to go over them and discuss what they might mean. I've made a list of all the augments and their boosts and put in the description if you want to follow along or reference it later. So think of this video as a podcast style casual chat. I'll probably just put some B-roll of whatever game I'm currently playing. Maybe we feed my pet. I don't know. We'll see in a minute here. Keep in mind, we do not know a lot about the combat system. Only super vague hints dropped here and there. Everything here could be completely off base, but, I think it's still fun to talk about. So, let's start at the top with ears. First, the Shinshin ear, which is an attack augment. Actually, let me touch on that real quick, because I'm guessing not many know about stats yet. These were added a couple weeks ago at this point and show which stat the augment will boost and by how much. All rarities have the same move, but the percent of the stat boost increases with the rarity. Alright, back to the Shinshin ear. As I said, it boosts the attack stat and has the move Predatory Hearing. The Mao ear, which boosts defense, has Zen State, while the Bobble Pump, another defense augment, has the move Keen Senses. These seem to have a pretty clear theme right out of the gate. None of these are blatantly attacks. I'm not sure if this will stay the same as more augments are released, but so far all ears seem to be stat boosting moves. Zen State is the easiest guess. I think it will be a defensive steroid, if not a complete block. As your pet enters a Zen state to weather oncoming attacks. For Keen Senses, I'm thinking an accuracy boost. While I know accuracy isn't an announced stat, we have seen hints that there will be chances to miss. Having Keen Senses would prevent this. Predatory Hearing is difficult. I can only think it would be an attack boost. Nothing else comes to mind, and it would make sense with the Shinshin being the attack augment. If you have a funner idea, let me know in the comments. On to the antenna. We have the Soro boosting speed with the move Dream Eater, and Ideon, the defense antenna, with the move Detect, and Aisha, another speed augment, with the move Radiate. Now, we have the first couple that immediately bring to mind a certain other monolithic IP. We will see more of these as we go along. Dream Eater, of course, brings to mind the Pokemon move, where if your opponent is sleeping, you do damage and steal some of their HP. Could this be a hint that status effects will be a thing in Genopets? If they aren't, what might it do? Just a straight-up health drain? Outside of Pokemon, moves affecting the mind like this tend to be debuffs. So perhaps it doesn't even do damage and slows the opponent or reduces their attack? I'm not sure, this one's a weird one. Detect, meanwhile, I would not be surprised at all if it's just a exact one-to-one copy of the Pokemon move that shares the same name. It just blocks the next attack your opponent uses. It fits well since this is a defense augment, and I can't really think what else it would be. Finally, we have Radiate. This one doesn't have an obvious inspiration, and it's hard to tell off the name since Radiate just means to emit something. It could be heat, light, radioactive particles, just stank. I know I've never washed my Genopet, but the first thing that comes to mind is a damage over time or dot move, where your pet radiates heat or similar to slowly injure the opponent each turn. If it's light instead of something harmful, I could see it reducing the enemy's accuracy, but I'm definitely leaning to the former. I see that next is the eyes. These have some interesting moves we can speculate a bit on. The Ishi with attack boost has the beam battle move. Ikiri, which has defense, gives the move perfect vision. And Agpo, another attack eye, has focused blow. I am just realizing I am probably absolutely mutilating the pronunciation on some of these. Forgive me for that. But anyway, moving on. I don't think we need to talk about beam very much. It's probably exactly what it says on the tin, right? A quick laser beam that does damage. Perfect vision, meanwhile, this one isn't quite as obvious. Thus far, the augments that boost defense have also had a move that seems defensive. With that in mind, the boring answer is it's just another stat boost. Maybe it increases your ability to evade the enemy's attacks. A bit more out there, maybe it visibly slows your opponent's attacks, making it easier to dodge. For focused blow, this one brings to mind two separate possible mechanics. The first, perhaps it's similar to Focus Punch from Pokemon. Your pet pauses for a turn, focusing up, and if it doesn't get attacked during that time, it unleashes a super strong punch. The other, a bit more straightforward, maybe it's just a damage boost that lasts for one turn. Maybe something like it guarantees your next attack is a critical hit. So, the mains have some weird ones, as you can see. First, Roar. Now, roaring has a wide variety of effects across all different video games, with basically every genre having it in some form or other. In the same game, different characters may even have different types of roars that do different things. We're going to use Sesho being defensive as a starting point, just so we have something to go off of. I think the most straightforward would be that it reduces your opponent's attack. As a cower in fear, what have you. Another possibility is perhaps it's just a weak damaging attack, but it can't be dodged by your opponent. I'm gonna go a bit out of order and look at Terror next, because a lot of the debuff style effects a roar can have, I could also see Terror doing. It's a speed augment, which throws another wrench into my thoughts. After some brainstorming, the most grounded answer would be that it slows your opponent as they cower in fear, or perhaps even stun them for a turn. This is another one I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Meanwhile, Protective Shell, obviously this is just a defense boost or a block the next attack ability. Maybe a kind of extra health bar, similar to a shield or substitute. Well, let's see. Horns are next on the table. Headbutt and Skewer seem straightforward, and honestly not much I can think of to discuss around them. Perhaps Headbutt bypasses defenses by catching the enemy off guard, while Skewer leaves them with a bleed-style dot. It's really kind of hard to tell how more typical attacks will differentiate themselves from each other with the info we have so far. Hypnosis though, I want to call back to that Dream Eater we saw earlier. This has been an iconic combo in Pokemon since the very first generation. Not to mention it has a similar effect in basically every game ever. Long story short, I would be very surprised if this didn't just put the opponent to sleep. Let's trail right ahead to the tails. Here's another group with some names recognizable to Pokemon players, though I don't think they will be used in the same way. Thrash honestly just sounds like it'll be a straightforward damaging attack. Maybe it hurts yourself in some way since Thrash sounds so reckless. In Pokemon, it locks you into using the attack multiple times and afterwards confuses you, but that seems too specific to be used in a different game, right? Iron Tail, meanwhile, in Pokemon, it's an attack that reduces the target's defense sometimes. It being on a defensive augment in Genopets, though, makes me think it will actually do the opposite, increasing your own defense after you attack. Oh, encirclement. So, I'm going to have to focus on the hint that it's on a speed augment. I assume this means your pet will run around the opponent at great speed, cutting off escape routes. What this will do in practice, though, I'm unsure. The military strategy, of course, is meant to make it so your opponent can't retreat. In other games, I'd say it would prevent you from swapping your character or running from battle. This is a 1v1 though, where I assume running from the fight means you forfeit. It could be as simple as it lowers your opponent's defenses or increases your attack, but I honestly have no clue on this one. Last but not least, let's look at the wings. Aerial maneuvers sounds interesting. On the elaborate side, I'm curious if it makes attacks easier to dodge, making you move faster when doing the gyroscope actions if they end up being a thing. Otherwise, it could just be a speed or dodge boost. The last two are Whirlwind and Hurricane. They sound like typical attacks. Maybe Whirlwind is faster and harder to dodge since it's on a speed augment, while Hurricane is slower but hits harder. This goes back to what we were talking about before, where I don't know how these types of attacks will differentiate themselves. And, well, that covers everything since Alkali and Genesis augments don't have their moves yet, so can we glean anything else with this, 20 words worth of information? Well, one thing, it seems we can safely say our pets will have a basic attack. It would not be difficult at all to have a full set without anything that appears to be a damaging move on our augments. This leads me to believe there will be a plain old attack button available. With that in mind, I find it hard to imagine the moves I said would be just damage actually only doing damage. That would mean you basically wasted the augment slot, right? Another thing we can glean, it doesn't look like status effects will play a large part in at least the first season or wave. The only move that it seems would is Hypnosis. Maybe they're using some less cliche statuses though, so that's why it isn't obvious. And with what we have, I wanted to see if there were any obvious strategies or combos I could pick out. Hypnosis and Protect seem like they'd be good if they do what I thought. Especially Hypnosis, since there appears to be so many stat boosting moves. A way to make your opponent leave you alone while you stack them seems absolutely fantastic. Let's be honest though. This is speculation built on speculating about something we can only speculate about. Probably not worth putting much stake into it. Anyway, all of this is just some food for thought. And, to get my first video going. And please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It will really help me catch this channel up to my other one. Starting from scratch is gonna be really rough. And plus, it would show me you would like more. I'd love to chat down in the comments. Let me know of any ideas you have, or maybe hopeful wishes for future moves. Otherwise, that's all for now. And as always, stay fresh.